Hey everyone, I'm Marc Sievers and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I'm very excited to show you this really of a component that we're going to make together tonight that takes just a handful of great ingredients. All of them are fresh except for a couple cans of beans, and you're going to end up with the most beautiful marinated white beans that have so many different ways of using them. I'll show you, we'll get into that more later. But today kind of launches the new series now of Everyday Basics 101, or Everyday Basics, I should say. So we did the corner store recipes. We made corner store fudge, corner store tacos, corner store enchiladas, corner store tear and share bread. I had to think about that one. And now we're going to move into slightly more elevated recipes that that will use ingredients from your pantry, from your local grocery store, or maybe even things you already have around. So tonight we're going to make marinated white beans. And what I love about these white beans is they're not necessarily like a really strong flavor profile. They're just really perfectly flavored so that you can use salads on maybe some tartines, in pasta, on a cheese board, or even as just a standalone side dish. But these are just perfectly savory white beans from a can. So I'm going to start by getting a little pot here. So I want something that's going to hold the olive oil and the beans and the flavorings and kind of give it and cover everything, the olive oil, all the ingredients, so that everything has a chance to kind of like marinate and bathe in this delicious fragrant olive oil. So I have about a cup and a half of olive oil, and I'm just going to put this into the pan here. And then I'm going to get other things into this. So let me give you a little overhead view of what's happening. So I've got a lemon, and I've just sliced it really not too thin, maybe, I don't know, 1/4 inch pieces. And I'm putting the entire lemon in here. Excuse me. The only tedious part is that as you slice the lemons, you want to remove the seeds because you don't want those seeds in white beans because none of this gets. All right, back to the other ingredients. So I have 3 cloves of garlic, and I know this week I was showing you how I like to open my garlic cloves and get the peel off, and it's really just very, very simple. All I'm going to do is take the garlic clove, put it flat on my board, whoops, and then take my knife and then just kind of wrap it down, and that just makes the peel come right off. And then I'm going to just put it right into the garlic, right into the olive oil, just like so. So what I love about this particular recipe is they're not garlic beans. They're not lemon beans. You see I have some rosemary. They're not rosemary beans. They don't take on a specific profile. They really just take on this lovely aromatic, kind of perfumed aroma and flavor, and I just love them. This is, Ryan likes to say, you're going to be taking a really luxurious bubble bath. So my last little garlic clove, perfect, just like this. And then I have a really big shallot. So you can use 2 shallots that are, that were 1 or just 1 really big one. And all I'm going to do is just cut off the root ends, just like this. And then I peel a shallot. You can't really wrap it on the board. It's a little too big for that. So what I like to do is take my knife, after I've cut off the ends, I just run it very gently and just score that skin in that first layer, and then the shallot just peels right off. The skin just comes right off. I find that's the easiest way. Sometimes it's stubborn. And then I'm just going to slice that in half, put that in, and then I want 1 more. So I don't know, I'm probably using shallot the size of maybe 2 golf balls total. That's how we're going to measure the shallots. Not that I play golf, I play miniature golf. Sports are not my thing. I know, it's very shocking. But I like to stay in the kitchen where I know exactly what's going on. Yes, I am wearing a Boston hat, my hometown, but it's baseball, right? Boston Red Sox. Told you. All right, so we've got the skin. Quarter it, cut it in big chunks. That's perfect. And see, I mean, so far this is really easy. The hardest part was really getting the peel off of the shallot and garlic. So now we're going to put in some really good rosemary. And I have a great tip. So I live in a high rise. I do not have a garden. I have tried windowsill gardening. It does not work for me. If you have some tips for me on how to have windowsill herb gardens, please reach out. Marc@marksievers.com is my email. Leave it in the comments below. DM me. But I've tried and I'm going to keep trying. But maybe you guys at home have some tips. So for me, I get all of my fresh herbs from farmers markets or grocery stores. Right now, I don't have any farmers markets available. So I just have some rosemary from the grocery store. And what I find is when I get rosemary home, if I put it into the fridge, if it's still in those clamshells, those plastic containers are what they're called clamshells, it rots really quick. So I've found that if I take a little cup of just some cool water and I strip maybe like a quarter of the leaves off of that really woody stem, give it a fresh cut, and leave them just like this on the countertop, they really stay for a lot longer than in the fridge, especially because it's nice and cool right now. In the summertime, that might not be the case, but for right now, this is perfect. And I want 2 really large sprigs. So I'm just going to put these, and these are probably a little bit bigger than my pan, so I'm just going to cut them in half here. But the idea is that you want this to have lots of flavor. Any of the little leaves that fall off when you cut, put those in as well. And I would say each rosemary sprig is between 3.5 to 4 inches. So, you know, I have 4 of those in there, or 1 really big one if you have a rosemary bush. But that's it. So now let's go into the kitchen. It smells so good already. And we're going to add the last few things to this. So I'm going to put this over medium heat, and I'm going to add now 2 cans of drained and really well rinsed white beans. They're white beans, cannellini beans, Great Northern beans. It's all the same, but just from a can. And let's say I need a little spoon here. So we're going to put those in. And as you can see, this is why I was saying we want the pan to be small enough in a circumference that it will let those beans, the rosemary, the shallots, the garlic, kind of come up and cover them. And then we're also going to add some salt and pepper. Now, the old wives' tale is that when you're cooking dried beans, you add salt last because it makes them tough. Don't know if it's true, but I've heard it and I've read it in books. So when I do cook dry beans from scratch, I never pre-salt them. But these are already cooked. So I'm going to add just 1 teaspoon of some sea salt and then 1 teaspoon of black pepper. And this is how I measure black pepper. I just grind it into my hand. I've been using this particular pepper grinder for about 10 years. So there are some times where I actually can just count the number of grinds and I know I have exactly 1 teaspoon of pepper, which is what I just did. So mix this up, and then the idea is you just want this to come just below the oil to just start to bubble. You don't want it to really, boil, but you want to get it past just it being hot. And then as soon as that happens, I'm going to take my little cover it, remove it from the heat, and let it sit for 30 minutes. And what that does is get all of the lemon and the shallots and the garlic and the rosemary infused into the beans, but also into the olive oil. So I was telling you ways, I'm going to get my phone here because I have a photo to show you. I was telling you ways that I like to use these beans. And, this is what I would consider like a great base for the refrigerator. You can eat them right out of the pot when they're nice and warm. You can reheat them if you want them a little hot. They're great in pasta salads. They're great on cheese boards. They're great on some toasted feta, olive oil, maybe some beans, lemon zest, and a little bit of, or toasted pita, I should say, with some lemon zest and olive oil and beans and some feta cheese crumbled on top. They're great on tartines. They're just a really great way to add protein to something really simple. And last night, I mean, I'm glad that I'm making another batch because we actually ate them. We finished off the pot last night. Ryan, tell me if you can see this.
Look closer. There you go.
So Ryan last night made delicious bucatini dried pasta with Parmesan cheese. He sauteed some red onion, a little bit of yellow pepper, and he did the olive oil and the white beans on top of that. It was so delicious that I think that's what we're going to have again tonight. And a tip for storing these in the fridge, because if you don't want to use them after they've kind of marinated for 30 minutes and you want to put them in the refrigerator, let them cool completely. And then I always remove the lemon and the rosemary. If you don't do that and you put them in the fridge, they will over-infuse and they'll become kind of medicinal. We don't want that. And then you'll notice that if you put them in the refrigerator, the olive oil after a day or so will kind of, congeal. And that's okay. That's going to keep them nice and fresh. And then ways to get them out of the refrigerators, you can take your container, scoop as many scoops as you want, and then you can put them into the saute pan. You can let the oil kind of melt and get a little bit warm. Take out the beans with a slotted spoon, set them aside, do all of your vegetables in that flavorful olive oil, and then finish off the dish with the white beans that you kind of ladled out so that they don't get overcooked. So I don't know. I think this is a really good recipe, especially for now. It's a great kind of refrigerator staple, I would say, is I'm going to make these, I can tell, over and over and over again. And I hope you guys liked this idea. Ryan, give them a little overhead view of this. I mean, look how beautiful this is. This is like earthy cooking to the T. And you can hear them. We probably won't be able to see the little bubbles, but little bubbles will start to form, and then as soon as those bubbles really start, off the heat, 30 minutes covered, and voila, you'll have perfectly velvety marinated white beans. So I hope you guys liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. And tell your friends, I'm here. So I'd love to meet more of you over the next few weeks and through the rest of the year. So let's play online together. And as of right now, head over to marksievers.com for the full written recipe for these beans and many, many other fabulous recipes. And I will see you tomorrow right on this channel, 6 p.m. It's cocktail time. We are making limoncello spritzers. So if you don't have a bottle of limoncello, I'm going to give you a few other tips on how you can substitute the limoncello for other liqueurs. So it's going to be a really wonderful way to welcome the weekend, Friday night, cocktail hour. And then, of course, go to marksievers.com and also check out Together Live, fabulous live cooking class and virtual dinner party for me, for you, for all of us for this Saturday night to celebrate Ryan and I's 10-year anniversary. So much information, I know, but it's all available at marksievers.com. So I will see you guys tomorrow, and until then, happy cooking.
Cam says hi.
Hi, Cam.
Christine says hi.
Hi, Christine. Thank you for watching.
She says looking forward to cockatoonies.
Oh, yes. My family does call cocktails cockatoonies. So tomorrow's cockatoonie hour. Well, these look... Ryan, give them a little overhead view so they can see the bubbles here, because this is perfect. So see, it's just bubbling around the edges here, and that's exactly what we want. Turn off the heat, cover, set aside, and that's it. Bye, guys.